Okay, today's the 12th of May 2009 and we are continuing with our series of interviews as part of our centenary celebrations. Today we have a very special guest, a teacher that's taught at the school and the man that's writing the school history, Brother Tony Butler. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Neil. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Good. Maybe just sort of tell us a bit about your time at Cogra Marist.
It was an interesting time, Neil. I arrived in 1989 when co-ed was well and truly established. But by the time I left at the end of 93, that was the end of co-ed as well. My first experience of co-ed, I must say, and I did enjoy it. It was good to have the mixture of the boys and the girls. One girl said to me on one occasion, co-ed makes the boys less macho and the girls less bitchy. And I felt it was very good. In some ways, the girls outshone the boys academically, and it certainly made a difference to the way you taught, the way I taught. But nonetheless, the balance was good. The balance between boys and girls was a good thing, and I think it probably gave the boys, since I'd been used to boys' schools, it gave the boys perhaps a bit more balance.
Yes, so in 1993 also the Brothers community left Cogra.
Yes.
Now who were in that community at that time?
At that stage, teaching in the school were Brother Jordan Ryan, Brother Kevin Friel and myself. And then in the community we also had Brother Neil O'Leary, who was the principal at Penshurst and lived here. And we had Brother Oswin McKinney, who was working in Marist film. Brother Virgilius Carroll. So we had the six brothers here at that time.
In 93?
93, yes.
Okay, so the school goes to a lay principal.
Yes.
And also the community leaves the school in
Yes.
the early 90s. Now, did you stay on at the school with a different role, really back to the year 2000?
I did. Thanks to Peter McNamara, I must say. I got involved in pastoral work, and it was a provincial decision that I would work 2 days at Penshurst and 3 days at Penshurst and 2 days at Cogra. I worked at Cogra here for 2 days a week from 94 till 99. So I'd come over here and I would try to get involved in prayer work with various groups of students. I'd speak at the assembly every week, and I would also write something in the newsletter. So it kept the Marist presence here in a very tangible way. At the end of 99, there was a decision made that I should work full-time at Penshurst. I was disappointed in that. I would prefer to have stayed on at Cogra, but in some ways, trying to keep two schools going effectively was just not working. So
that was the end of 99?
99, yeah. Yes.
Okay, and Brother Robert still comes regularly?
Yes, he does, and my sense is that there's still a strong Marist presence around the place, like either with Robert or with the teachers here today, who are very actively, I think, carrying on the Marist traditions.
Then in 2006 or 2007, Pat O'Connor
2006, yes.
asked you to write the history of the school.
Yes.
And that was the end of 2006. And that's really been one of the main jobs you've been doing for the last 2.5 years.
It's been a big focus, Neil, for the last 2.5 years, yeah. But Pat approached me. I considered it for some time before saying yes, and one of the reasons that prompted me to say yes was the fact that the archives were in such superb condition. Had they not been, I probably would not have undertaken the history. The research would have been too great for me, given my work at Penshurst as well. But because Sister Pat Anderson had the archives here in, well, I can only say brilliant condition, I agreed to do it. The archives are organised by theme and chronologically, huge amount of material and a huge number of photographs. It's a dream run in some ways for anyone writing a book.
And the book will be launched on the centenary weekend on
Saturday
the 23rd.
Saturday the 23rd.
That's right. 2 weeks. This is a difficult question because you've been so closely involved. this research, looking back at 100 years, and this is what all these interviews are about, what are some of your reflections on this process? Some of the things that sort of jump out, some of the consistent things that seem to pop out over the years? Some of the surprising things, maybe?
A couple of things. One is the great love of the school, particularly in the early material, the great love of the brothers. In spite of all sorts of weaknesses in teaching techniques and discipline, there was an extraordinary love of the brothers comes through in what former students have to say. The second point, I have been extraordinarily impressed with the number of former students of Cogra Marist who have gone into prominent positions in public life. In the church, the first Australian-born cardinal for a start. Lots of priests, particularly in earlier days, lots of priests. Lots of Marist brothers. Men have gone into the law. I think we've got at least one federal court judge.
You do?
Yes.
Supreme Court judge.
Supreme Court judge, yes.
Both,
yeah. And doctors, some wonderful doctors. Bruce Ford is a name that springs to mind. He's one of the great stories of this place. Servicemen who lost their lives, some even during the First World War, some of the older men, older boys who were old enough to join the forces in the First World War, and certainly in the Second World War, huge number of losses there. Great story of Leo McAuliffe, which really is a very moving story. Actors, musicians, professors, extraordinary number of professors of chemistry, and I don't know why. Glyn Davis, the Vice-Chancellor of Melbourne University.
He's doing an interview in Melbourne for us.
Yes. And that's good. Yes. He must be a fascinating man, Glyn Davis. There's a story of him in the book, The Davis Boys. Teachers, a lot of teachers. Just an extraordinary number of prominent people in society. Politicians.
Politicians.
Yes, politicians.
Lots of them. Lots of politicians.
And some good ones. Number of financiers. Just a great range of prominent people. Significantly, I forgot to mention them because of my personal lack of interest in sport, which is why I got Mark Hildebrandt to coordinate sports research, which I would not have handled well. But yes, there are quite prominent sportsmen from way back, Bumper Farrell, Ray Lindwall, Bob Windle, Warren Saunders, Kerry O'Keefe. They're just a few of the names, and from a particular period. Yeah. But even earlier than those, I think there were some prominent men whose names I just can't recall. And amongst the women, there would be a couple of...
Annie Burgess.
Annie Burgess
would
would be
Annie Lafleur now.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it, to summarise 100 years in...
It is, yes. But one of the wonderful things I think about the history is the personal stories, and they go way back. They go back to some of the students from the very first day. We're lucky to have their stories told.
Okay, Tony, we might just look again at the end of '93.
Yes.
When the community left Cogra after, 1909, after nearly 80 years.
Yes. It was a sad decision in many ways, and one that I would regret, and I suspect a lot of other people would regret it. I think to have left the Illawarra district without a Marist presence is a shame. I've often thought that this place where we're having the interview at the moment, the old monastery, could well have been refurbished for brothers to make a community here in the Illawarra district. So to keep a Marist presence very strongly at Cogra, but also at Penshurst. The decision was made, so that's that, and it's very unlikely to be reversed, but it's perhaps a shame that the decision was made.